Let's now go to the budget. And in talking about the budget, we've gone from 08 and 09 in which we've talked about stimulus, and now all of a sudden the discussion is talking about spending. We have a couple of quotes here from some Democrats, and you can read them, but I'll read them for you. What might have been acceptable a month ago has moved, and then we've hit the wall. We've come to the tripping point where we're not going to spend money on the economy anymore. So here are Democrats in Congress, in addition to the Republicans, talking about reduction in spending. Next slide, you see Peter Orszag. This quote was almost 3 years ago. By the way, Peter Orszag, if you remember your news, about 60 days ago has resigned. But he's basically said that this budget is on an unsustainable path. And check out the date when he said that, December of 07. And to prove that point, you can see where the budget was in 2008 was $455 billion. It has increased $1.4 trillion in 09, which represents 10% of the GDP, which is far greater than what we spent in World War II. And the anticipated or projected deficit for 2010 this year is $1.6 trillion. The pie chart that you see is how we spend our money. The interesting thing about this pie chart is you can see that the federal spending is $3.5 trillion. And if you do a little subtraction, you can see that entitlements is $2.1 trillion. Subtract 2.1 from 3.5, that's $1.4 trillion. Remember what our deficit was in 2009? All the income taxes that we brought in this country only paid for entitlements. We had to borrow the rest, okay, to sustain this budget. So there's a great need in this country to not only reduce spending, but also increase taxes somewhere, somehow. And so you have David Axelrod saying that the Bush tax cuts clearly cannot stand, and where that's gone and where we think things are today is that the Obama proposal is that if an individual makes $200,000 or a family make $250,000 or more, then the Bush tax cuts will expire for you, okay? And that just has to go with the brackets, and Shelton will explain what those brackets will look like here shortly. You do know that the Democrats and Republicans are now, gone. They're out of Washington. And some people say that's good. When they come back after this election, we'll have a decision. Well, the interesting thing to watch is this. Republicans say that they'd like to extend the Bush tax cuts for everybody for 2 years. Some on the most extreme end say we would like them out there forever, okay? But some say 2 years, some extend it by 1 year. But mostly, the Republicans are going to be hard-pressed to stand in the way of the Democrat proposal, which is if you make less than those income levels, then the Bush tax cuts will be extended for you. More importantly, the long-term cap gain rate will go from 15 to 20%, and that is for everybody. But Shelton, I don't want to step on any of the information you're going to give out. It just suffice it to say it'll be very interesting watching the politics and the posturing that will go on after the election and before, hopefully, the end of the year. Shelton?